As I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize how much I wish I didn't become an artist. Now, don't get me wrong, because I spent 4 years of my life basically being an artist, learning how to draw, learning how to paint on canvases, and just expanding my horizons as a creative person. And it was great, don't get it twisted, but as I now I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize how much of a privilege and a luxury it is to become an artist or to be one, because it involves so much energy, so much thinking, and time invested in it that someone who has a job from 9 to 5 or whatever doesn't really have the opportunity to do those things, because all their time is just thinking about the work, and that's all they can do, and then coming back home and just having that 5 to 10 o'clock. I mean, that's not just the only reason why, right? But I guess what I'm also trying to say is that all the time that I invested learning how to do new techniques, how to learn about how canvases work and drawing and investing my money in it, sometimes I wish, like, how does this thing that I learned this few years really help me here in the future? Now, I'm not saying that art doesn't help anyone, because art has a huge like rich history and reputation of, like, politics, history, expression. Like, I mean, I can go on about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't hate it. It's just, as the modern time that we're living in, art can only do so much for someone. And sometimes the only way someone gets up there is because they know someone, or because, they have the money for it. And that's just the reality of it. And I just feel like being an artist was great until you start overthinking your decisions, you start comparing yourself to others, you start to feel like this is not enough, and you kind of just go, not crazy, but you become so insecure what you're trying to do that maybe it's just me who hasn't gone through that phase yet of just accepting that whatever I create is what I create. But also I feel that as you're putting so much time into creating, you're just in your head basically 24/7, and you're not able to, I want to say, live in the moment, but you're so caught up with what you're thinking. It's like, what can I do better the next time? And it's just like your ego is growing out of it, and it's like, oh my gosh, like maybe it was the guidance that I didn't have of becoming someone who's creative. But also I just think as someone who wants to be an artist, there has to be so much responsibilities that are part of it, because it's like practicing. You don't want to lose the creativity. You have to keep thinking of what can you do next. Not maybe that's better, but you want to express. I mean, it goes on, right? And I realized that those few years were just part of a youth thing. And now that I'm older, I'm like, well, yes, this is cool, but this isn't really helping my situation out. And what I mean by this is that I feel like I want to contribute more into things that I could have done back then. But since I was I was becoming a designer, and what I learned from there was great, because I could actually implement that. With art, it's just like, well, sometimes it can be for fun, and it can be career if you have the time for it. But if you're trying to become an artist full time, you have to see the financial standpoint where, hey, like, I need to be creating even better, because if I don't, these things won't sell, and if I don't sell these things, then I won't have any funds to create even more. And it just seems like a struggle and just stress every day, because you're trying to survive. You're not even able to live, because you're so focused on what can be created next. And maybe everyone has a different experience, everyone has a different perspective when it comes to their whole art journey, or whatever you want to call it, right? It just seems to me that we're trying to normalize things for artists that I feel like shouldn't be. For example, as well as like starving artists because they're trying to survive. But it's like, dude, that's not really a healthy thing. You're mentally gonna like drown yourself with thinking about what can I sell next, and also trying to put yourself into limits that you may not even be not capable of doing, but not maybe mentally healthy enough to do it, because you're so focused on everything, trying to balance everything at once, that maybe like it might drive you to a different route that you wish you never been to. That's why so many great artists kind of lose themselves with ego, with depression and everything, because they're so focused on trying to do better or trying to keep making a living that they almost forget how to live. And it just seemed to me that what was healthier for me is that that's not the lifestyle that I didn't want. And of course, people could argue that with art, it takes a lot of sacrifice and all this stuff and passionate, and by all means, go for it. I'm not complaining. It's just, I feel the best part of doing art is not having to like stress over it, even if the art's not even like perfect or whatever. And it just becomes really contradicting, because sometimes art depends on the person in a situation. Oh crap. But you guys get my point, right? It's like, why do art if it's not going to, get me a job, right? And it's not even just about having a job. It's just, opportunities to grow. And I think that many people seem to miss that part because they're just focused on creating, focus on the outcome of how this could look like, but what happens next, And I felt that for me was like, okay, I created this, now what? Do I sell it? And it's almost like a whole purposeful thing and philosophy thing and whatever that I'm not really trying to get into, but it's just, it seems like there's so much that people tend to miss out of becoming an artist, that they lose passion for it because like, oh, I'm not earning money from this, no one's seeing my art, I can't make a living out of this. I mean, the story goes on, and I wish someone would have told me before that, I would love art, but to a certain extent where I'm like, hey, I can't do this forever, and that these things that you learned from the past are great until you need to actually contribute into something. I don't know, I could be wrong. By all means, I was an artist for probably 2 years, man, or 3 to 4 years or whatever, but that's just my opinion. I mean, prove me wrong or prove me right. I don't know. That's just me being me.